though he's known for his power, I thought his record... Excuse me! What's up, you guys? I just got done working out. I recorded this video yesterday and then realized I didn't say, like, nearly anything that I wanted to get across except for, like, the one point I was making. But I decided to redo it. So what I usually have is to show you what wonderful microbrew I'm enjoying. But since I did that yesterday and I only do that every week, like once a week, maybe twice if there's a special occasion, I'm drinking a protein shake right now because I just worked out. I'm gonna zap it to past Shayna and you can see the deliciousness I was drinking yesterday. Today, oh man, you guys, today I have, guys, check this out. This is a peanut butter and honey golden ale. It's delicious. And look at that golden color here. Look at that golden color. Maybe this way is best. Delicious, you guys. Until the next one, guys. You know. So, like I said, I just got done working out. I just ran the dog on the scooter. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can watch the video linked right here. But I'm going to go ahead and try to get all the points across I need to. I'm going to preface by saying a lot of you guys wanted me to talk about like Nunes and how unstoppable she is and the crazy submission she got. And I'm planning on doing that. I'm planning on showing, going over some points about that submission, hopefully next week. If not next week, then for sure the week after that. Hopefully, a lot of busy stuff going on. Definitely soon. That's definitely bumped to the top of the list of catch wrestling submission holds. The first point I wanted to talk about was the illegal knee strike that IzzyXJan threw at Aljamain Sterling. Firstly, I don't think Jan threw an intentionally illegal strike. I think he intentionally threw the knee strike. I don't think he meant to get DQ'd, obviously. There's some confusion, and I think especially if you haven't been in the fight game or at a high level where they have this rule, this confusion is the 3 points of contact as a downed opponent is considered a downed opponent. And that rule is called the 3 points of contact rule, although that is not the truth of the rule. So the truth of the rule, the way it's explained is if they have 3 points of contact, they're a downed opponent. But what started happening is you get opponents that perhaps they're getting up in a technical stand-up. And at some point, there's only 2 points of contact, but they're clearly downed. It's a hand and a foot. So it started getting to this gray area. And so what they started saying was, the way Big John McCarthy would explain it to us is anything other than the bottoms of your feet touching is considered a downed opponent. So then, inevitably, in every fighter meeting, the discussion turns to, well, what's considered a hand down? Because what you get is these guys that will, for example, they'll get caught in a front headlock. And they'll game this rule by trying to touch the ground so they don't get kneed. So if you have me in a front headlock and I'm just on my feet, you can knee me. If I put my hand on the ground, it's considered 3 points of contact, but then what they started doing was you can't just be brushing the ground with your fingers. And this is always the example they use. You have to actually be supporting weight on the ground with your hands. So your fingers can't be just touching the mat like this, or the canvas. It has to actually be supporting weight on the ground in order to be considered a point of contact on the ground. So the rule always goes to this hand thing. Now, Jan's Corner, I don't know how well versed in English they are, but I saw in an interview after the fight, they were talking about there was so much discussion at the fighter meeting about the hands that all they were paying attention to when Aljo was on 1 foot and 1 knee and his hands They were paying attention to his hands. As soon as his hands were up, they told him to throw the knee. It was wrong. Yada, yada, yada. So I can definitely see how in the midst of all that discussion and in the chaos of a fight, I always talk about the chaos of a fight not being a time that you can process logic fast enough, that knee would have been thrown. Now, on top of that, I think people that were coming down on Aljo for faking. So, yes, it's true. Pride, 1FC right now, they all have this rule set where you can knee and kick to the head of a downed opponent. There's guys that happened to. Sakuraba made a career of eating these knees and then eventually taking these guys down and submitting them. But what people don't understand, and maybe you've heard it said before by fighters, it's not the hard shots that get you. It's the ones you don't expect or you don't see. So when you watch any knockout, it's not these guys can eat shots all day, but it's the one where they don't expect it, and it makes they're not tightened up to absorb it, so it spins their head, or it knocks their head, or their head hits the floor and it knocks their head. It's not these ones, it's these ones. And it doesn't take a hard shot to do that. So when Aljo is on his knees, he is not expecting that shot is going to be thrown in that moment. And yes, you can say there's this rule, protect yourself at all times and all that, but that's not an expected shot. And you cannot blame him for being more taking that and being more damaging to him in that moment than it would have been, say, had he been fighting in that moment at 1FC or something. On top of that, I do think the momentum of the fight was swinging more towards Jan's favor as the fight went on, but you never know. And that's the thing about fights. So for Aljo to continue when he's possibly concussed, man, back when I first started fighting, it was a thing. It was like, concussion wasn't a thing unless you were real stupid and out of it, obviously. Now that I've grown up and I'm obviously been involved in several sports and professions where concussions are taken far more serious, the studies of concussions have come a long way. We know a lot more. We know that concussions, you could show no signs of concussion for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden, one day you have a headache and you're nauseous, or your mood swings, whatever. But I think it's a stupid choice for him to have continued just to be a tough guy, because you're talking about your future quality of life. Guys, quick side note. Someone asked me which rule set I would prefer. Would I change the rules? I like knees and kicks to the head of a downed opponent. I think it forces the action on the ground. A person can't just take a bad shot and sit on their knees. It makes people work harder from that position. And honestly, the danger of soccer kicks and knees to the head, by the time a fighter is to the point that they can no longer defend those, the fight's going to get called. So it's not like those are super common. Everyone's getting hit with them. Pride rules, I believe 1FC uses those rules now. I prefer that over elbows. I think elbows cause cuts, which can end a fight prematurely. That's just my opinion, though. Crazy information. I once fought at a promotion that was actually run by Dave Strasser, where knees and kicks to the head of a downed opponent were allowed, as well as elbows. So, as a fighter, you got to know the rules that you're fighting under. All that being said, I made a joke about, it wasn't really a joke, it was just a point that, like, that feeling. So when they announced Jan got DQ'd, so Aljo's the champ, like, Aljo wasn't happy about the way that finished. He threw the belt on the ground initially and left the ring. You could see the disappointment on his face. You want to earn a title when you get it, and it didn't feel earned. And that feeling that the crowd or people watching at home, that feeling you got that was like, man, that's why in professional wrestling, the rule exists that the title doesn't change hands on a DQ. So when I tweeted that, this is why the title doesn't change hands on a DQ in pro wrestling, all the insecure MMA fandom started getting offended because if you compare any other thing at all ever to MMA, you're horrible. So they started coming with, well, that's stupid. What if the champion just throws illegal strikes all the time to retain? To which I replied, aha, now you're understanding pro wrestling. But regardless, that feeling, that sucks. I hate that rule. People ask me what I wish would have happened in that particular fight. Obviously, this opens up a lot of gray area, and if they were ever going to change that rule, all this stuff would have to be addressed, and it's very intricate. But I think for that particular fight, ruling it a no contest, stripping the champion, immediate rematch, maybe fining the champion just as a heavy penalty, but being stripped is a pretty big penalty as well. So maybe both, I don't know. But I hate the title changing like that. I bet even Aljo hates the title changing like that. The crowd, nobody was happy with how that went. Nobody was satisfied. And that's all I meant. That's why pro wrestling has it, so that the story can continue. I want to touch on Izzy and Blachowicz. I honestly had Izzy picked to win a decision. I thought he was going to outwork Blachowicz. I thought, even though he's known for his power, Polish power, and his knockouts have been brutal, Blachowicz's record, it wasn't like he was all wins, all knockouts, you know, and I thought Izzy's record was, looking at their records just straight on paper, I thought Izzy's held up more, so I don't think the weight difference matters as much when it comes to striking on the outside. And I thought that Izzy has fought up in kickboxing. He's fought up weight classes and done just fine. So I thought he had managed that well and planned for it. I thought the fight was going to stay standing the whole time between these two, like, known strikers. But Blachowicz did the smart thing and clinched him, took him down in the last 2 rounds. That's where you're really going to, the weight difference matters more when the person has to bear your weight. It was a good fight, was a good card. Like I said, guys, I'm going to talk about the Nunes submission in the next video, so don't worry, I didn't skip over if you were one of those that asked about that. But, you know, it is what it is. I can already tell you I like this one better. See you guys on the next one. That Izzy